Sword and Shield getting an expansion pass was something I really didn't expect considering Game Freak's track records with more releases. But I can say when they had announced it back in January 2020, I can say like many others I was interested to see how it would go down since this was the first time Game Freak had done DLC for the main series Pokemon games. And for me, I didn't really have a whole lot of high expectation. Well, admittedly it was slightly higher than the base Sword and Shield. It wasn't much since it's still within that game. While the two parts of the expansion will release at two different times, I will be talking about both of them since I think they were similar enough to me to where I can just cover both at the same time. And on that, let's get into my thoughts on the expansion pass, with my first like being the wild areas. I did end up finding them slightly better than the base game just because to me they had slightly more secrets and just they were a little bit more fun to explore. I also liked the biome slightly more here. I also liked how a lot of the areas connected back to each other, which frankly after playing the base game I really enjoyed because once you just go off to a new area, you don't really have much there and you could just either turn back or just go off to the right and keep on going straight forward. It would make more sense if you actually played the base game. And the next thing I ended up really liking was the stories for the most part. I found them pretty fun to see play out. For the Isle of Armor, you go off to train with Mustard, who was the previous champion, and I admit it doesn't really make sense if you've already beat the game because what mode do you have to train? But regardless, just seeing the stuff with the trials and the new rivals and whatnot was at least fun to see. Then we have the other aspects like the stuff with Kubfu and you and Hop trying to make the Dynamax soup, and I admit that latter half I actually kind of enjoyed just because it had some nice moments with Hop. Then we have the Count Tundra, and I really enjoyed seeing Calyrex return to its true form along with just interacting with Peony because I really liked his energy. I also want to mention that I did somewhat enjoy the characters, the brand new ones in this case. While characters like Clara and Avery did start off pretty rude, I at least enjoyed seeing them go throughout the JoJo trials and then seeing Mustard call them out when they were cheating and whatnot, and again that was just really fun. Then we also have Peony, which again I really like. At most I wish we did get to see a lot more interactions with say the main cast in the main story and then the DLC characters, but frankly at least for what we have it's just pretty alright. And then we have all the additions, extra modes, and just new forms that they added to the DLC, which I thought was cool. I did end up enjoying the new Dynamax Adventures from the Count Tundra because I thought it was a decent challenge, along with the Cramoratic, where you actually do get to get rare items a bit easier. And for the new Pokemon, I thought they had pretty cool designs for the most part, and my favorites definitely had to be the new horses, Regidrago, and Galarian Zapdos. The OST is also pretty nice here, and this is just talking about the new tracks. I love Peony's battle theme along with Clara's, Avery's, and the new Reggie's tracks to name a few. Overall, I did somewhat enjoy this expansion pass for the little things, and I thought the devs really tried to improve the stuff from the base game, but still there were some aspects I didn't really like with it. One of which is just how short the stories are for both DLCs, and I really dislike this aspect because again you don't get to see a whole lot of moments with them, and it kinda does suck because characters like Mustard train Leon, and I would have enjoyed to see some of that here. And maybe he could have came and fought him and you get to see how Leon still battles even though he's been defeated and whatnot, but obviously we didn't get that. And then with the Count Tundra, while I did like Calyrex's story, it kinda sucks that Peony took a backseat for a good while. And I do understand that the characters in Pokemon don't get a whole ton of backstory, at least quite a bit of them. I was hoping we got to see more here, at least with new characters, so hopefully I can say more about them. I also thought the DLC was pretty easy in a lot of the main fights, and this was me playing with a save that had already beat the game. And I didn't try to go in with super overpowered Pokemon, it's just that a lot of the early battles, say in the Isle of Armor, are really lacking. For example, Clara and Avery only really start off with two Pokemon that are fourth evolutions, then they move on to like second evolution Pokemon, and all that's really changed is just that their levels are raised up, and again that's not really much of a challenge considering the fact that they don't have much moves, and it kind of just feels like you're meant to play this part way earlier in the game. I do know they get somewhat harder at the final fight, but again by that point it was just pretty brain dead to me. And I know that Mustard's fight is actually pretty challenging, at least I found it to be, but again that's pretty much at the end of the DLC, so I found that kind of annoying that how for a majority of it was just really easy. I know there were some extra fights at the very end of it, like you do get to have some fights with Clara and Avery and whatnot, but again that's like way in the future, and that's like extra stuff that you don't have to do, so obviously I'm just counting the main story here. Then we have the Count Tundra, and that doesn't really have any train battles other than Peony, even Even then, he only has 2 Pokemon, and you could just use a single fire type to stomp his whole team. And again, it wasn't really challenging. And I know there was a battle against Calyrex and the horses, but again, that doesn't really offer up a major challenge, at least to me. But in the end, I just found this DLC to be okay, but somewhat underwhelming. Stuff like the wild areas and whatnot at least was slightly better, and it made me kind of hopeful for other games like Legends Arceus in terms of the world design. It just feels kind of limited because of how small the maps are and how short the stories are. Again, this is just in general for the DLC, and I kind of do feel that the fact that this is a $40 expansion, and frankly, it's just to me not really worth that money because you could also get Torna of the Golden Country on the Switch. And frankly, I would rather just go ahead and play that again just because it feels more worth it. But at the same time, it was slightly better than the base game, so at least there's that. I don't hate it, it's just I felt there could have been a lot more. But I want to hear what you guys end up liking and disliking about this pair of DLCs. Let me know in the comments below. And of course, I'll go over mine before the video ends. Likes, wild areas are a bit more explorable, nice stories, fun characters, nice additions / modes, and fun OST. Dislikes, short stories, and the DLC is pretty easy. Thank you all